Good afternoon. As it is 5:30 p.m., I will call this City Council meeting of May 6, 2025 to order. We acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people and pay our respect to those past and present. Tonight's invocation will be provided by Pastor James Sanchez of Life Church. If you could all please stand for the invocation. And then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening, and I lift up our mayor and our city council members, that you give them wisdom and favor in decisions they make. Lord, that you give them grace, and that you give them peace that surpasses all understanding. Let them enjoy the role that you've put them in, but let them also make decisions with care for our city. Guide their decisions, give them wisdom, and bless them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Councilmember Marshall, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this will be both a physical meeting and a virtual meeting. Some members of city staff or consultants may be participating via teleconference. Today's meeting may be viewed on YouTube, Facebook, and following the meeting on cable channel 10 HD 1090. There's no need for a roll call as we're all present and accounted for. We will move on to approval of agenda. Are there any suggested changes to the regular agenda as presented? All right, hearing none, we will say it is approved as presented and move on to our presentations. This evening we have one presentation and two proclamations to read. Our first presentation will be the Oak Harbor High School Robotics Club. Here to introduce the Robotics Club is their advisor, Mr. Idoga. He will introduce club members and explain any demonstration by the students. Eric, this is the proclamation you're going to read.
Yay. Okay, thank you guys so much for having us. We have a couple of kids from our team that are here. They're going to talk to you guys a bit about what we do and why we do it. I know you guys were interested in having us bring the robot, but unfortunately it's still in shipping. So it's coming back from competition. So it's just kids, and they're going to talk to you guys about what we do and how we do it. So thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah, then can you kind of also share with us how you guys did in competition too, please?
Yeah, so the kids got to go to the World Championships. So it was the top 800 teams in the world, and that's from all over the world. So there was teams from Brazil, teams from, actually I got to work with a team from Brazil. It's pretty cool. Teams from Israel, teams from Russia, teams from all over the world, literally. A team from China came and borrowed our flagpole because it's hard to bring a pole over from China. Who knows? And so, yeah, so the kids started out, actually, because they went based on an award for their service to the community, they started out in last place. So they started out way behind, and throughout the competition, they moved up 6 places. So they did really well, and our robot did everything that we set out for it to do. So it scored autonomously, it scored points on the highest level, and they did a great job, and it worked in every match. So they did wonderfully.
That's awesome.
All right, go ahead, come on up, kids.
He was in Florida, I think.
Okay. Hello, my name is Thorn. I'm a freshman on the team. And first I'm going to talk about some of the things our robot had to do this year and some possible misconceptions. So in first, there's a new challenge every single year. So every year we get together and they reveal the new game season for that year. We have 6 weeks to design and build a robot before our first competition. So this year there was balls like this big that you had to carry up and put 8 feet up and score those. There's PVC pipes that you had to score on 4 different levels. So you had to have robots that were able to do that consistently. So our robot, we brought 3 different designs to our community, and we had our community vote on which design we should continue to do. So we still were connected to the community. And we built that robot, and it did great in competitions, scoring what we needed it to score and what we designed it for. It's pretty cool. I'll move it on to.
Okay. I'm Alina Locklear. I'm a junior on our team, and I know we're saying our team went to the World Championships, but in our eyes, all of our programs, all the way down to our FLL, which is our third and fourth graders, actually second, third, and fourth graders, all the way up to seniors in high school, we say all of our programs are part of our team. We hold FLL Explore, second through third graders. They get to work with Lego robots. They get to program them to be a model, and they learn research projects and skills like that. Our FLL Challenge students go and compete with Lego robots they build. And First Tech Challenge robots are robots that fit in an 18-inch cube that get to compete on a smaller scale, and our robots compete on a basketball-sized field in 2.5 minutes. Kind of crazy trying to score things in 2.5 minutes. And we also have unified robotics programs where we partner with students and build neurodiverse teams so that every student has the opportunity to build robots and engage in STEM activities. And one of our initiatives we work on is menstrual equity. We provide boxes of feminine hygiene products in 90% of our classrooms at the high school, and we also coordinate this within all of the teams and the competitions in our P&W district, which includes Oregon. And this is a big step in breaking barriers and limitations for students in competition in STEM settings, and it's one of our important initiatives.
Hello, my name is Vincent Zarati. I am a sophomore on the robotics team. Not only do we build robots, we also have a lot of community outreach things that we do. One of our biggest and most favorite projects that we like to do is build wheelchair ramps for community members who come and ask for them. Currently, we built over 13 of them and 8 in the last 3 years. Some of those were also graduation ramps that we built for our high school that help roughly 400 students get on the stage for graduation. Another thing that we are doing in our community is we are advocating for electric vehicles to be implemented into our education system, and we're currently working on meeting with the CTE director at our high school about implementing stuff about EVs into our auto classes, and if it works out locally here, we're wanting to take that across statewide.
And one more project we did with our local school district is we built garden beds for a lot of the elementary schools. And the school we've been partnering with the most recently is OVE. So we've been assembling a ton of garden beds that are compliant with the ADA. So they're very accessible for students of all abilities, and they should be food safe. So in the future, in theory, we should be able to start having a more sustainable cafeteria, not having to outsource all of the food, being able to have the kids learn how to grow things and actually eat the things later on in their cafeteria food.
And rounding back out to robotics in general, we host a lot of STEM camps, and actually this past weekend we had a Lego camp where we take 3rd through 6th graders for a whole weekend, and they get to design a robot and with a game that we create, and we work with them, we partner with them, giving more opportunities to those who might not be able to spend a whole season with us but still want to get in and get hands-on with our programs. And so if you have any questions, we'd love to answer them.
Great. Well, I will open it up to council to ask questions, but first I just want to say thank you and congratulations. Questions, comments from council? Mayor Pro Tem?
The robot thing is very cool, but I think one of the neatest things that you do is to reach out to younger students in our community and get them excited, because there's nothing like that peer relationship. And an adult can go tell a 3rd grader they should be excited about something all day long, but it's not going to be nearly as effective as one of you going and saying, no, really, this is cool. And that outreach above and beyond the, individual activity that you're doing. Both of my nieces were totally into it when the program first started a while ago, and I think that cross-age, cross-school, cross-town outreach that you do has a ripple effect on so many lives, and maybe someday you'll realize what an impact that made. You might not be now, but someday you will, and thank you so much for everything that you do for our community.
Your excitement is contagious.
It is.
I like to think I'm still hip and with it. Come on now. I know that they're kind of distinct, but does your group do anything with AI? Is that integrated into anything that you do? Just out of curiosity.
No.
That's all right. Just curious. That's all I have. Thanks.
Anybody else for the good of the order? All right, well, again, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the city of Oak Harbor. We're very proud of you, and we appreciate all that you're doing, and we look forward to seeing your success in the coming years as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move forward. We have 2 proclamations this evening. The first is our National Police Week, and here to introduce is Police Captain Barton, and he's going to provide some background information on Police Week, and then Councilmember Merrill will read the proclamation.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Wright and esteemed City Council members. As the captain of the Oak Harbor Police Department, it's both an honor and a privilege to speak to you this evening in recognition of National Police Week. So each May, during the week of May 15th, National Police Week offers us the meaningful opportunity to both celebrate and reflect. It's a time for us to acknowledge the unwavering dedication, selfless commitment, and daily courage of our law enforcement personnel. It's also a solemn time of remembrance. We pause to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. While their loss of life is deeply felt, we choose to celebrate their lives, their service, and the lasting impact of their legacies. As we prepare to mark this important week through proclamation, I invite our community to come together and support and appreciate the men and women of law enforcement and the Oak Harbor Police Department. These individuals are more than just officers. They're our neighbors, our friends, and our family. So let us join together and recognize their vital contributions and expressing our collective gratitude and their steadfast commitment to safety and the well-being of Oak Harbor. Thank you.
You have the proclamation.
Affirmative. So on behalf of the city of Oak Harbor, the office of the Mayor Ronnie Wright, this proclamation is, whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Oak Harbor Police Department, and whereas National Police Week in America was created to honor and recognize the sacrifices and contributions made by police officers in communities both large and small, and whereas National Police Week, held every year in May, was created in 1962 through a proclamation issued by then President John F. Kennedy, and whereas our community will always appreciate and commend the risks police officers take every day to ensure our community's laws are properly enforced and that our public safety is ensured, and whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently more than 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States that have made the ultimate sacrifices and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas now more than ever, the community appreciates and encourages the community engagement facilitated by our police officers to better serve and instill mutual trust, camaraderie, and positive relationships among our increasingly diverse population in Oak Harbor. And whereas police engage with and serve the public in the most varied and wide-ranging manner, and efforts do not go unnoticed, and now, therefore, we, Mayor Ronnie Wright and the council members of the City of Oak Harbor, proclaim this week, May 11th through 17th, 2025, as National Police Week.
in the city of Oak Harbor and publicly salute the services and sacrifices and efforts of law enforcement officers in the Oak Harbor Police Department and across the nation. Signed this 6th day of May, 2025.
Thank you, Captain Barton and Councilmember Merrow. So we expect the same enthusiasm there, Councilmember Marshall. We have a proclamation for Drinking Water Week. Here to introduce is our Public Works Director, Steve Schuler, and Public Works Operations Manager, Chris Price, to provide background information. And then Councilmember Marshall will read the proclamation.
Very good. Very exciting to go after our wonderful police department here. And so many of you already know and have met Chris Price. Chris Price last year was our water manager. He is now, we had a number of retirements last year, and Chris was promoted to the Public Works Operations Manager, so he's taking on additional duties. And from council members, from community members, and from staff, I've heard nothing but positive feedback on Chris. So it's very exciting for our department. We really appreciate that. So we're going to be very brief. I looked up on Google what's a good quote about water, and so this is what I have for you tonight. Thousands have lived without love, not one without water. And this is from a poem in 1957. So I think that says a lot right there. And then this is just Sabrina, our city administrator, Coombs, said let's include a staff photo, and this is really exciting. This is when many of us got to go to the very start of our water supply. And this is at the Skagit River, a long, long ways away at the Anacortes Water Treatment Plant. But that's where it all starts before it gets to our faucets. So that is it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I guess we'll move on to you, Councilmember Marshall, for the reading of the proclamation with the same enthusiasm.
I don't think I can quite match the theatrics and enthusiasm as Councilmember Merrow, but nonetheless, this is no less important. And so, whereas May 4th through May 10th, 2025 is recognized by the American Water Works Association as Drinking Water Week, and whereas safe, uninterrupted drinking water serves as a fundamental utility in the daily lives of our citizens, providing for hydration and hygiene and promoting the quality of life in our community. And whereas the city's water division of the Public Works Department supplies our city with around 400 million gallons of drinking water each year and responds around the clock to emergencies and routine calls for services. And whereas the city's operators diligently work to ensure the safety, quality, and continuous supply of our drinking water every day through over 50 miles of water mains, 3 pumping stations, 4 water reservoirs, and 3 groundwater wells. And whereas the city's water supply has continuously and consistently met all Washington State Department of Health and U.S. Environmental Protection Agency standards for health and safety through the Water Division's efforts. Now therefore, we, Mayor Ronnie Wright, and the council members of the city of Oak Harbor do hereby proclaim May 4th through 10th, 2025 as Drinking Water Week in the city of Oak Harbor, and we urge all citizens, businesses, and institutions to celebrate this special observance and to join us in learning about our water supply and the ways we can all join together to conserve and protect our water supply. Signed the 6th day of May, 2025, Mayor Ronnie Wright.
All right, thank you. I have drank my 96 ounces of water today. We are going to move on to the public comments section. We will now open the floor for comments from the public. Members of the public may comment on consent agenda items or subjects of interest not listed on the agenda at this time. There will also be an opportunity to comment on the remaining agenda items during the meeting as appropriate. Comments on public hearing items will be heard during that portion of the agenda. The public can also visit our website prior to our meetings for methods of submitting public comments or contact the city clerk, Julie Nestor, by phone or email. When submitting comments, please include your name and address. Public comments sent anonymously or from a false address will be shared with the mayor and council but will not be displayed. We received 2 new public comments since our last regular meeting. They will be displayed now. Blame it on the mayor. Blame it on the mayor. All right. Are there any members of the public present who wish to speak to items not listed on the agenda or on the consent agenda? If so, the clerk will call your name in the order in which you signed in to speak. Please step forward to the microphone and state your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Julie?
Thank you, Mayor. Signed up to speak is Joshua Treadway.
Good evening, council members. First, I want to apologize for going over time last meeting. I will try to be better tonight. You are being confronted with a constitutional crisis that is already at our doorstep. The Department of Justice has issued guidance under the Alien Enemies Act, allowing federal officers, including ICE, to enter homes without a judicial warrant, based solely on internal agency validation, no judicial oversight, no checks, no balances. This is a direct assault on the Fourth Amendment, the safeguard meant to protect residents from unchecked government intrusion. Some may still believe that this is a distant federal matter, but when federal agents come here to Oak Harbor, they will expect the cooperation, or at least the silence, of our local institutions. You may not have direct control over law enforcement actions, but you do have the authority and the obligation to defend the rights of this city's residents. You shape public policy, you set the tone, and you decide whether constitutional violations will be met with condemnation or quiet compliance. And let me be clear, I trust that our local police officers, who we are especially honoring this week, are men and women of principle who take their oath to serve and protect seriously. But even honorable officers can be placed in impossible situations when federal policy demands unconstitutional action, and silence from city leadership leaves them without guidance. And now, as of last week, the President has signed a new executive order directing the Attorney General to strip oversight from local law enforcement, deploy military assets into communities, and shield officers from accountability, even if they violate civil rights. Taken together, the memo and this order represent a dangerous escalation. One authorizes unconstitutional action, the other protects it from consequence. So you must decide now. Will you defend the constitutional rights of your residents, or will you allow federal policy to sweep them aside with your blessing? This is not about partisanship. This is not about personalities. This is not about derangement syndrome. It's about whether the Constitution still limits government power, even when it's inconvenient to do so. Understand this. Silence is not neutrality. If you say nothing, you are choosing a side. If you allow warrantless raids, indefinite detentions, and militarized policing to go unchallenged, you are complicit. History will not just remember what was done, it will remember who stood by. I emailed each of you with the information I'm referencing tonight. While I truly hope these concerns prove unfounded, I want to be clear. No one can claim ignorance going forward. The facts are in your hands. I urge you, take a stand while you still can. Affirm that here in Oak Harbor, the Constitution is not optional, that no one in this city is protected only at the pleasure of DC. Because if you will not defend the people of the city, you have to be honest about it. You'll leave the residents of Oak Harbor to defend themselves by whatever means remain. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else signed up, Julie?
No one else signed in, Mayor.
Yes. Okay, so is there anyone else here that didn't have an opportunity to sign up that would like to step forward and make a public comment at this time for items not on the agenda? All right, hearing no one else who wishes to speak at this time, we'll close public comment and move on to our consent agenda. Staff has presented the listed consent agenda items, all of which were included in the meeting packet. Are there any objections or changes to the consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, may I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mayor Pro Tem.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Councilmember Wittgenstein. Is there any further discussion before I call for a vote? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to mayor's comments. Signing of House Bill 1791, City Administrator Combs and I attended Governor Ferguson's signing of this important bill, which expands the flexibility of using real estate excise tax funds and makes it easier for cities to respond to local needs without raising taxes. Special thanks to Deputy City Administrator and Finance Director David Goldman and Representative Dave Paul, who worked together on this bill tirelessly to get this through the process. Naval Air Station Whidbey Island Sailors of the Year. While City Administrator Combs and I were in Olympia, Mayor Pro Tem Heisen had the honor of recognizing the Sailors of the Year. Congratulations to HM1 Nicholas Morgan and AZ1 Michael Yushindu, who were presented their awards by the Oak Harbor Navy League and the Rotary Club of Oak Harbor. Reading with the Leader, Oak Harbor Fire Chief Anderson read an Oak Harbor customized Fly Guys firefighters book to students at Olympic View Elementary, while firefighters Bradley and Brote demonstrated their gear and equipment. The book was customized with Oak Harbor photos and signatures from Oak Harbor firefighters. Reading with a Leader is a partnership program between the Oak Harbor Kiwanis and Oak Harbor Public Schools. Thank you for representing the city. Arbor Day 2025. This year, the city partnered with Oak Harbor Public Schools to hold events and plant trees at every elementary school. 21 trees were planted. The day also featured storytelling sessions, chalk art stations, and a live climbing demonstration by arborist Bob Bailey and apprentice Grayson Clements. Thank you to the Parks and Recreation Department, city staff, and council members Wiesner, Arms, and Merrill for participating, and to school staff, students, and community volunteers. Whidbey Island Marathon. The city was proud to once again host this terrific marathon and half marathon and 1K Kids Run event, which brought 1,500 participants to our island. Councilmember Stuckey was among the racers this year. Thank you to race organizer and promoter Jared Laranger of Fizz Events, our Public Works and Parks and Recreation teams, our police department, and all of the community volunteers for making this a great event. The Great Escape. The City of Oak Harbor Marina released the coho salmon we have been caring for in partnership with the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife this past Saturday, May 3rd. It has been our honor to help the rearing of the salmon and hope that many will return to our waters. Save the dates for these upcoming events. We received notice yesterday that Senator Mazzal, Representative Paul, and Representative Shaver will be holding a virtual town hall meeting on the same date and time that we had planned our next Pathways to Stability Task Force meeting on May 13th. We are moving our meeting to another date. Please stay tuned for further announcements. The Wright Blend Coffee and Conversation with myself and members of city staff will be held May 18th at 10 a.m. at Honeymoon Bay Coffee and Roasters, located at 1100 Southwest Bomer Street, Suite A101. We had a great turnout at El Cazador for our last event and thank them for hosting. Community Catch-Up. Our next Community Catch-Up will be held on May 22nd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at our Public Works Municipal Shop. Ever wonder what goes on behind the scenes to keep our community running smoothly? Here's your chance to find out. Meet and talk with the experts from engineering, streets, water, wastewater, solid waste, and more. Bring the whole family. Meet the teams who work hard to make our streets safer, water cleaner, trash taken away, and facilities maintained. Take a tour of the big Public Works trucks. Kids and adults can get up close. And finally, did you know our very own city clerk, Julie Nestor, is the town crier for the city of Anacortes, which she calls home. She is pictured here with her husband Keith and Anacortes Mayor Miller at a recent community dedication event. In addition to that, I would like to recognize Julie tonight for her 5 years of service to the city of Oak Harbor and her pin. So congratulations, Julie. We got to surprise her. She didn't know we were doing that. All right, so now we will move on to City Council for your comments, and I will open the floor to you all at this time. Councilmember Stuckey.
3 things. One, with the, I noticed you mentioned the postponement of that event about the, yeah, I would just make sure if we haven't to let the, because there's already an article tomorrow with the date. The paper, the News Times. So all I'm saying is with their deadlines, we let them know like in the next 24 to 48 hours so they can do an update for Saturday because they have that in there.
Yeah. Okay, she has that as an action on my action
Okay,
list, yeah.
okay, because I could see a lot of people showing up and being disappointed. Secondly, would it be possible, I know it's been a while, we haven't done with this administration, to do another employee morale survey?
Yeah.
I mean, it would just be nice to quantify the things that we've heard.
I don't have an issue with it. I think that there's some feedback that Sabrina would like to share just from an administrative perspective, just so you guys are aware, so.
So the only thing I just want to bring up is that with employee morale surveys, and what we learned the last time we did this, is there are concerns sometimes from staff to provide their information with the context of what they're commenting on. And if we don't have their information or the department of where they're talking about, we can't assist in correcting things or work with those departments if there's a concern. So it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes, so I'm just making you aware. Last time when we did this, that was a concern. The other thing is public records. When people are filling these out, because it is a survey and it is public record of what we've done and what we've received from the staff, there is a need and a desire for that to be put out to the public. And even if we don't put it out as a city, there are requests that come in from public records, from the newspaper and other sources. So I think that's just something we have to be aware of, and we need to really coordinate with our unions on that.
Is it something that could be done through a third party? I know that doesn't quite affect the public records part, but.
Yeah, again, I just want to warn that I don't know what the response rate will be because of those concerns that have been brought forward by staff. Last time, that was a real concern that came up after the fact.
Okay. So can I do this? Can I get with Emma and Sabrina and then look at also getting a couple ideas of third-party potential companies, getting an idea of cost, and then bringing that back to you guys to then make a decision if that's what you want us to do? I don't have an issue doing it. I just want to, again, I'm trying to make sure everyone's happy and that this is also meaningful. If we're not actually going to get people to participate and give us feedback that we're looking for, then I don't know how meaningful it's going to be. So I want it to be meaningful.
Oh, absolutely. It needs to be a positive. It needs to be a, helpful, not yes. And, with a third party, obviously there's a dollar amount, and I'm not suggesting $50,000 to spend on this, but that's something like that. And then I'm going to put Captain Barton on the spot. My apologies. Could you speak more for my knowledge and probably those watching a little bit, some of the comments about ICE and whatnot. Do we have interaction? Like what's the tempo between local law enforcement and ICE, or is there any? I mean, has there been any incidences here? If there are, do we just comply? Do we assist? Does it have nothing to do with us? Could you give a little bit of context? And I apologize for putting you on the spot there.
Sure. No, I appreciate the question. So we do work with our federal partners, but we do not take an active role in any ICE investigations or anything like that. But we also don't prohibit them from continuing their actions. So all of our actions follow what's under the state guidelines for us. So there's no active participation. We don't collect data on people that, in regards to their status or where they've come from. And so we don't share any of that information with our federal partners. If they are here doing federal law enforcement action, those are not things that we per se actively participate in. And we do have a set policy in regards to that.
But we can't legally do anything to prohibit it or stall or anything like that.
No, we cannot.
Okay. Thank you.
Generally, they just notify us of what the action they're taking, if they are taking any action, and then we're just aware of what's happening federally, correct?
That is typically the case, yes.
So that's what our internal procedures are, but we're not in any way giving them information, sharing information, or cooperating with them to go and seek out folks, yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you, Captain Barton. Is there any, yes, Councilmember Arms.
I was really hoping that nobody would fall into the water. We had so many people, and we were honored to have, Julie, you're going to have to say it.
The Swinomish.
Yeah, Swinomish tribe come down. They did the chant, the drums, they blessed the fish, and they were released. And so it was an awesome experience for them to be down there and do that for us. And so we're hoping that when they come again and we get them released next time, that they will come back. So it was an awesome experience, and we thank them so much for doing that.
Thank you, Councilmember Arms. Anybody else? Yes, Councilmember Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow up on the employee survey, I've got to be thinking that we're not the only city or town in the state of Washington that's ever had an employee survey. And so, I would think, unless we've already done it, a conversation with MRSC, Association of Washington Cities, I don't think there's any reason we should have to reinvent the wheel. And to digress, I do absolutely understand the concerns. Somebody could put, for example, a serious allegation in a anonymous survey, and as a city, we have to act upon that allegation. We don't have any choice, and without knowing what department it comes from or what the underlying issue is, it becomes a very difficult thing, right? To be able to actually do anything with the information that actually results in a significant or quick change or a quick intervention, right, for lack of anything else. So I absolutely get that, but I guess, I just got to be thinking, we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. There should be some conversations out there we could have.
No, and that's why I agree with the mayor. The goal is to look at the plan for doing that. I just want to make sure that I express concerns we'd heard in the past from staff. And I will say the wellness team does do some regular surveys after we have events, so it is not a morale survey, but we have done some regular surveys. And I believe from what I've heard from Emma, we haven't had a high response rate, so I was just making you aware of some of the things we've seen. So yeah, I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, and and I think like any good company, we're making changes, and I think that the changes the mayor is making and staff are making are all in an effort to make things better and have staff feel good about the job they're doing. But it's always nice to get that feedback, right? And again, like any good company, that's how you gauge the actions you're doing and how you decide, which initiatives you're going to continue to press forward with and maybe which initiatives you tweak. So I think it's just smart business.
Yeah, and I'll echo, I agree 1,000,000%. I just want us to, I want us to vet out whatever that's going to cost and just be really transparent with you guys. Because I think that going through a third-party company will be the best route for us to do that, and just knowing that there's a cost associated with that, I'm good with it. So, and yes, Councilmember Merrill.
Quick question, when's the last time a survey of this type has been done, or ever?
I want to say it's been at least 2 or 3 years, 2 years. But there's been a lot of change since then, so yeah, for sure.
Before my time.
Yeah. Before mine too, yeah. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I wanted to use this opportunity to congratulate the mayor, because I know he's not going to congratulate himself, on earning his Certificate of Municipal Leadership from the Association of Washington Cities. I believe Councilmember Marshall earned his last year. Is that correct? And the mayor just earned his. And Wittgenstein, you're still working on yours. But the certificate, it's a 30-credit program through the Association of Washington Cities, and there's a bunch of requirements. You have to take a minimum number of classes in a minimum number of segments across the board, things like public sector resource management, I had to look it up, effective local leadership, community planning and development, open public records, official roles and responsibilities, all that. And so you really get this breadth of education, and it takes, you do webinars, you go to the conferences, and you start to rack up those hours. And so it's a really valuable tool that we have in our toolbox, and it takes extra time to do. So I wanted to remind everybody that Councilor Marshall has his, and that the mayor just earned his, and I'm not sure when you sleep, but well done.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate that. Anybody else? Councilmember Marshall, you got anything? No? Okay. No? Okay. All right, well, we will move on from council comments then, and we're going to move into our public hearings and meetings, which we have none. So we're going to go right into ordinance number 2020, proposed code amendments to Oak Harbor Municipal Code sections 19.08.120 and 19.08.676. And here to introduce this topic is our senior planner Ray Lindenberg.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. We are looking today at a very brief code amendment that I'm not going to go too deeply into. We have discussed this one before. Essentially, what we have are two definitions that we felt were causing some issues with regard to development. One of them is building line that prevented any kinds of fireplaces or architectural projections or anything like that from extending into the setback. We were asked to take a look at that by a local developer who said that other cities do allow for those sorts of things. We found that that was true. And so what we did is made this revision here that you see in the colored text to allow certain projections into the setback of up to 2 feet. We used to allow just eaves to go 3 feet into the setback, which was kind of unusual in of itself. So we proposed that change to allow for fireplaces, chimneys, and flues, some architectural features to extend into the setback area. We feel this is a good idea because of the reduced setbacks that we've instituted in the last few years here. The second one is a private nursery school child daycare center or kindergarten. Essentially what this is this was a definition kind of masquerading as a regulation. We want to kind of get rid of those because they're a little bit difficult to keep up with. And also the state of Washington has standards. So we're going to let the state of Washington be the experts on this situation and let them regulate how many square feet you need for a daycare rather than us having it in our definition. So that is the extent of what we're proposing today. We have a resolution for you, Ordinance 2020. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Great, thanks, Ray. And at this time, I will open the public hearing, and I will confirm with our city clerk that we've received no public comment on this issue.
That's correct, Mayor. No public comments have been received.
And is there anyone here with us this evening that would like to step forward and make public comment on this issue? All right, hearing none, I will close public hearing and call for council for their comments. Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ray. I just had a quick question. I know that we noticed that we excluded bay windows as something, but and the reasoning makes sense. But what about like a garden window, where it's not a living space, but it is you know an
we kind of had to draw the line somewhere.
Okay.
And that somewhere was essentially a solid wall, if you will.
Gotcha.
And so you have your fireplaces and your projections and things like that.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
So as a point of clarification, then how many feet off the property line does it have to be?
So what you're looking at there is those projections can be 2 feet into the setback, so 3 feet from the property line would be the minimum. And that's just for that projection, not the entire wall.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from council at this time? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I move to approve ordinance number 2020.
Second.
All right, we have a motion as presented by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilmember Wittgenstein. Before I call for a vote, is there any further discussion on this issue? All right, hearing none. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next item, which is ordinance number 2021, amendment number 1 to the 2025-2026 biennial budget. Here to introduce this topic is Deputy City Administrator and Finance Director David Goldman, and Finance Manager Chaz Webster is going to present.
The squirrel's awfully cute. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Chaz Webster, Finance Manager, and I'm going to go ahead and get started here. This is budget amendment number 1 for our biennial. So this is a mid-year true-up budget amendment that takes into account city council actions and annual grants that have occurred year-to-date and new items, also presenting the budget adjustments, which refer to internal reallocations within the existing budget that do not increase the total appropriations. Also listed here, we're going to go ahead and talk about the budget amendment items. Previously, City Council approved these items. So for 2025 and 2026, for $16,700, we're going to use grant funds for the Axon body-worn cameras and digital evidence storage to cover that budget overrun. And this was approved by council in December of 2024. The next item for 2025, $201,156 of fund balance. And we're going to be funding this by the listed funds there for the additional 10% contingency for the Northeast 7th Avenue reconstruction project. And that also was presented and approved by council on March 4th of this year. And now we'll get started with our budget adjustments. Previous city council approved items listed here for 2025, $69,700. We're using general fund balance for the impact fee study, and this was approved by council on December 17th, 2024. Also in 2025, $35,300, use of the water fund balance for the cathodic protection system. That was approved January 21st of this year. We've got $13,800 of the general fund balance for outfitting the two 2024 Chevy Blazer EV SUVs, approved by council January 21st of this year. And $40,000 of general fund balance for the public safety facility feasibility study and earnest money deposit that was approved by council in February of this year. Continuing with budget adjustments, we've got new or previously discussed items for 2025, $390,000 of general fund balance to fund 5 police officers and one-time equipment purchase partially funded by the DOJ COPS hiring grant. These grant revenues were budgeted in the current biennial budget, and this adjustment is simply to use those funds for the purpose they were intended for in addition to allocating matching funds. And we've got listed here $128,000 of general fund balance for the purchase of those following items listed. $48,000 for the Ford pickup, and this is for Development Services Department. $48,000 for the Gator 2020 half cab for the parks operations. $10,000 for the Buffalo turbine blower, again for parks operations, and $22,000 for the overseeder attachment for parks operations. The initial list included Development Services and Parks, as you see there. The Parks total request was $271,500, and after careful review of the description of the use, frequency of the use, availability to borrow from Public Works, storage location, and how the work is conducted now without the item, we were able to reduce the Parks request from 11 items to 3, also reducing the total dollar amount requested by about 71%. So from $271,500 down to $80,000 for parks operation. All right, and continuing with budget adjustments for new and previously discussed items, we've got $30,200 use of general fund balance for environmental cleanup at Northeast 7th Avenue and Front Marsh. We are looking to use opioid settlement funds as a source of funding if possible. That next item, $625,000 use of general fund balance for the 5 police officers, partially funded by the DOJ COPS grant. And again, those grant revenues were budgeted in the current biennial. And this last item, $31,200 use of general fund balance for anticipated environmental cleanup activities, also looking to use opioid settlement funds if possible. And then this chart incorporates the effective use of the fund balance in 2025. So I totaled that up. It's about 908,000 decrease across the total of those funds listed there. And this chart now incorporates the effective use of fund balance in 2026. And it's about 656,200 decrease in the funds listed there, which is just general fund at the moment. All right, and so the recommended motion, of course, is to hold a public hearing on Ordinance 2021, and then move to adopt the ordinance number 2021 as displayed.
All right, so at this time, I will open the public hearing, and I will confirm with our city clerk, Julie Nestor, that we received no public comment on this issue.
That's correct, Mayor. No comments from the public were received.
And I will once again call upon those who are present this evening. If you would like to make public comment on this issue, please step forward at this time, state your name, address, and your comment. All right, hearing none, I will close public hearing and call for council for their comments. Councilmember Romero.
Chaz, correct?
Yes.
Much appreciate the due diligence that you went through to vet for the amendment so that it was not excessive. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Chaz. The 2026 amount for the 31,200 for anticipated biohazard, I take it that's just the fact that we're setting up a budget for future. We really don't know that we're going to be needing that or using that. We don't have a specific site on like 7th Avenue, but we're expecting that this is probably going to be an ongoing issue.
Yes.
Yes.
And we are trying to utilize the opioid settlement funds, where we're just verifying that we can use it for that. So before we do, anybody else? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Quickly, thank you for the diligence in preparing the packet. You know, we have these discussions throughout the year, and we have them one at a time, and we do this in little snippets, and it was just really nice to see everything on one page in one place. That was really helpful to see that snapshot, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. Chaz, can you explain why the additions of the vehicles and such now that were not included in the original budget process?
Okay. I will hand that over to Dave.
Yeah, I could explain that. The vehicles, anything that was over $50,000 was included in the capital portion of the budget, but vehicles that were under $50,000 or vehicle attachments were supposed to go through a separate parallel process, and they were just, it just wasn't included as part of that particular process. So, they came up pretty recently, and we went through what was submitted, and we reviewed, I think there was about 11 pieces of equipment from Parks and Rec, for example, and we took a look at, which ones of these are kind of really, like which ones of these are tools that are really good at doing like one thing, but they might be sitting around the garage for most of the year, and which things are pretty good at doing that, but also good at doing a few other things, and will be used for most of the year. And we figured, we should probably focus in on those kind of things. In addition, there are some things that we don't do now that will improve the condition of our fields, like the aerification, basically exchanging air and soil of our fields. That's not really done now, and some of the equipment that is being proposed to be added will actually take care of that and improve the condition of our fields, because that was some of the things we've been getting back from the leagues as far as, some feedback of things that need to be improved. So
Right, and that's something I've been asking about for years, and it's something that was included in the initial budgeting process. And so I guess my frustration is we missed $271,000 of initial request when we were doing our budget. If I understand what was just said correctly, $271,000 worth of equipment that was not included in the original budget and then was brought back. And I appreciate the work that you did to get that down to a much more reasonable amount and to have equipment that is multi-use and doesn't require as much specialty equipment. But that's the rub for me, is that frustration is, how do we miss such a significant amount of our budget when doing this process? I mean, it was in the capital improvement plan. It was in our documentation. We discussed all of these. We discussed the tractor. We discussed the aerator. We discussed all of these pieces, and then they just get missed. And that's frustrating for me when we go through such an extensive 2-year budgeting process, and then to have over $250,000 worth of equipment just missed and not included, and then we have to come back and then make these adjustments and do a budgetary adjustment. So my initial thought would be to no, get it right the first time, you know, and or show us where the revenues are going to be, allow for these types of, show us where in our projects that we are making more money in parks, and that the programming is paying for itself, and that we're not in the red in these programmings. And then we can start to look at funding additional things. But it's frustrating for me when we go through such an extensive process that such a large item was excluded. And so I don't know how the rest of council feels and how you want to vote on it, but I'm just expressing my own frustration, not towards you at all. I appreciate the work that you guys have done and to get this to a much more reasonable number. But that's the rub for me. That's where I struggle with this particular ask. And so just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marshall. Anybody else for the good of the order? All right, hearing nothing, I would entertain a motion. Councilmember Romero.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2021, budget amendment number 1, amending the 2025-26 biennial budget, adopting an updated wage and salary schedule and plan of classification.
We have a motion as presented. Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Before I call for a vote, is there any further discussion on this issue? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in favor, all opposed. 2 opposed. Motion passes. All right, we are going to move on to other items for consideration. Funding authorization for Pacific Northwest Chalk Fest, Whidbey Island 2026. Here to introduce is our Parks and Recreation Director, Brian Smith.
Good afternoon, Council. So we brought this item to you at last month's workshop just to talk about the Northwest Chalk Fest and looking at bringing this event that has been held around the Everett area here to Whidbey Island. This is done with the help of an event management firm that we've been working with. We have, since we last talked with you, decided to move this event to next year to make sure that we have plenty of time to plan and put on a successful event that hopefully will be a great asset to our community. So just a quick rehash over this. Chalk Fest is an existing brand event that brings in international artists from all around the world to come and do chalk art, and we put on a little festival with it, a really fun event for the community. Brings in tourism, visitor attraction, supporting local business, and it's a great investment into our art community. We have a lot of towns and communities around Whidbey Island that invest heavily in the arts, and there's a reason for that. It's a great tourism draw. It fosters community pride and generates great economic benefit for the communities that host these kind of events and activities. It's a great platform for local artists to come and showcase their talent as well, and promote themselves for consignment activities. And it also encourages investment in public art. So the event next year, it's an outdoor event. We'll hold it in the summer, probably at the end of July, just leading into the Music Fest week. We'll have the event over 3 days. The artists will come and prep the site. Staff will get everything all ready for them beforehand. We'll have anywhere from 15 to 20 artists mixed in between, like I said, international artists, renowned artists around the U.S., and local artists as well. They'll prep the site. The next day, they start on their creations. It takes about a day to do a lot of these drawings, and then there's a presenting day, and we'll have festival activities associated with all those. We're looking at holding it at Windjammer Park around the plaza and next to the Splash Park and that long, wide swath of sidewalk that we have there for some kid art activities. We will have a chalk garden where people can do their own drawings inspired by the artists that they see. We'll have live music, fun games, food vendors, demonstrations, and we anticipate it'll be the first time we've done it here, but we're hoping to bring in about 3,000 or so each day for this event. The event will have 3 different categories. We'll have copyists who do mock-ups of famous artworks that you might know, free artists who do their own original artworks, and then 3D dimensional artists who do realistic optical illusion type drawings that are really fun and a great photo op for people to take while they're there. We'll also make room for kids and teens and amateurs and anyone who would like to showcase their own creative talents. Like I said, in addition to this, we'll have a support festival around it, and the festival costs about $5,000 to put on. Artists are about $40,000 to bring them in, and then marketing and promotion, we budgeted about $5,000, and then event production and management. So that includes the fee for the management company that negotiates and schedules and pays for all the artists to come in. So the total budget we're looking at is about $75,000. Now, the Art Commission did go after a LTAC grant with this event, and they were awarded $17,000 of the $35,000 that they had asked for. The Arts Fund also appropriated $35,000 in this 2025-2026 budget to go towards the event. So that now they're looking at just filling that shortfall of $23,000. That ask is to come out of the Art Fund balance, which currently has about $200,000 in it. I think the plan is also to pursue an additional round of LTAC funds, and if we receive those funds, then we won't dip into the art fund balance. We'll go ahead and utilize those funds, which really are meant for tourism type activities. But if not, then we have that appropriation that is authorized for use so we can get the event on. And here's a recommended motion for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Cynthia Mason is out of town, so I'm standing in for her. I'm not as good looking, but hopefully I can at least speak articulately to anything that you'd like to know.
Thank you, Brian. I will confirm that we received no public comment on this issue.
That's correct, Mayor. No public comments were received.
All right, is there anyone here with us this evening that would like to step forward and make public comment on this issue? All right, hearing none, I will call upon council for their comments. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you sort of may have already answered my question. The LTAC funds, I realize that's not what you're asking us about tonight, but just out of curiosity, they were awarded LTAC funding, but the festival's been postponed until next year, so they just bank that and then they'll ask for more funding next year. Did they just hang on to that, or, I mean, because it's included in the balance, I'm guessing that is just kind of reserved for them, even though the event's been postponed?
Yeah, we're working with legal just to make sure that we can do that and everything's kosher with basically stacking that. But I think that's the intent.
Okay. Yeah, as I said at the workshop when we discussed this, it's the arts fund, it's their fund, and if the art commission wants to use their own money on this, then I'm not going to argue with them. So I think it's a cool event. I understand why it was moved to next year. I'm a little bummed out, but I'm looking forward to 2026. So yep, I'm going to be a yes on this. Thank you.
Sabrina, have we heard back from legal on this issue?
We have some answers that we're just working through. We just want to make sure that we're following the process, and we had a precedent that we were also looking at. So we're just doing a little review of the situation specifically. So again, these are separate items, and that's what I've been talking to council about this week.
Okay, I just didn't know if you wanted to address that now. Well, everyone could hear the same thing. No, that's okay. Anybody else with a question or comment? Councilmember Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's a comment. You can follow it or not. I don't think $5,000 for marketing in a event's enough, quite frankly, not if your intention is to use the event to draw people from out of area. And especially the first year, I mean, it takes years to build these events, and the reality is the first year is the building block, and you know, the first year is always the hardest, and you know, we're going to be judging, you know, $75,000 worth of bang out of that first year, right? And you know, that's going to determine whether there's a second year and a third year, and if it's not going to be an ongoing event, then we're just kind of throwing something to the wall, seeing if it sticks, and we're, you know, doing it to the tune of $75,000 in arts funds. I would certainly suggest that there are maybe local sponsorships and stuff to be had towards marketing and promotion, including local businesses' logos and stuff in the marketing and promotion to help cover the cost of it. Possibly having an artist doing a mural with a local business, you know, in exchange for marketing and promotion. And you know, I can tell you that $5,000 for, you know, some of the events I've helped put on, you know, we can get a couple of ads in a newspaper, we can, you know, get a few 30-second spots on a radio station, and that's about it. And you know, I think if we're going to do it and try to make it something that I'd hate to have us look back after the event was done and said, boy, you know, we should have put some more money into marketing and got the people here.
Yeah, and I can speak to that. So the $5,000 is the city's portion of the marketing event. Modern Enterprises, the company that we're hoping to contract with to put on the event, as part of their management fee, they also do marketing. And he has like a whole page of different things that they do. They put it in publications and all kinds of stuff. So there is a lot more beyond the $5,000 happens in marketing. They have a very robust marketing plan. I'm not concerned about the marketing side of it at all. And sponsorships is absolutely a part of it. They do a lot of sponsorships with the current event that they do over there. We hope that, you know, extending it out a year, that'll give some time to do sponsorships now that we have our sponsorship packets together. And also, once we've done the event and, you know, we see the appeal of it and we have some numbers to back up, hey, you know, this is how many people come to it and here's the activities, and we have some of those visuals of the event that we can take to businesses and show the benefit to the community that this event brings. That'll be a powerful tool for doing sponsorships as well for the following and coming years.
And how do you vision those sponsorships working? Are they going back to the cost of the event? Is there a split? I mean, what's the discussion been around that? And who arranges all those sponsorships, et cetera?
Yeah. So our standard event package has tier levels, but the way that they've done it with this event is they actually have people sponsor an individual artist. So they'll sponsor the cost of that artist. That reduces the cost of the event and does promotion with it. And the artist will work in that business into their artwork even, and different fun things like that.
So that could technically then apply to that $40,000 estimated cost for artists. That's not a written in stone. We pay $40,000 no matter what. We're paying the exact cost of artists, and if there's a subsidy reducing that cost, we pay that reduced cost.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wiesner. Yes, Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. So if the event's being put off till next year, why the request for the additional funding right now? When we have opportunities for sponsorships, when there's going to be an additional LTAC request, why the need for the additional funds right now?
Yeah. So one of the reasons for the decision to put it off is it takes quite a bit of time to schedule some of these artists. Some of them are very well known. They have a following. People will actually come from around the country to come to one of their events and see the artwork. And we got to the point where we ran out of time to be able to do it in a timely manner. So So this allows us to push that out, be able to say, yes, we have the funding secured, get the RFP out, because we're going to have to do a bid to get it under contract for the event services. That's going to take a couple months. It just allows us to go ahead and start the process without having to rush anything, while we work on alternative funding to reduce that direct cost.
What would the justification be for an additional LTAC request? Since, let's just say you can stack this money, but there's nothing to show for what the money actually produced, right? And that's part of the LTAC requirement, if I understand correctly, is there is some quantifiable data, what did you bring in? How many people came in? What would be the justification for asking for additional monies when the initial money wasn't used?
Well, it is a new event, but it also is not a new event. So the event has been held in prior years over Renton and around the Everett area, and they have all that data, right? So obviously that's not here, but they can show proof of concept that it is a successful event. They know how to manage and run an event that draws people. They know how to market to it. They can show like the return on investment, economic benefit, and those kind of things. So,
but that was the justification for getting the original 17, correct? I mean,
that was 35.
But that's what. So where is there an additional ask? I mean, is it just a stack onto the 17, just using the same data that was presented originally?
Yes, right, because this is the cost of putting on the event. They weren't awarded the full amount that they needed to do that, so they would just, and I can't speak to why they made the decision in the LTAC committee on how they allocated out the funds out to which asks, but there were several. Then they were all very good asks, including our own Parks and Recreation department. And so they had limited funds and they divided out as best they could. So some of the asks were reduced. Regardless of reducing that, there is a cost to putting on the event. So to get up to that amount, we're going to have to meet that shortfall, either through our fund appropriations like we're asking for tonight, or through sponsorships, or through LTAC.
So does by funding this tonight hurt your opportunity to get additional LTAC funds, because then you could say you're fully funded at that particular point?
No, we'll still apply for the LTAC grant, yeah.
No, I understand you'll still apply, but do you think that'll hurt your chances in order to get additional funding, because then you can show that you're actually fully funded through the Arts Commission, essentially? Through the Arts Commission and through the original LTAC award, you're fully funded. And then, so is there justification then to ask for additional LTAC funds, or are you hurting your own chances?
Yeah, I see
of
what you're
getting
asking.
additional
I don't know.
funds?
You should probably ask the counselor next to you. You might have a better answer for that.
Yes, so he's hurting his chances.
I'll answer when you're done.
Okay, I tend to lean with Mayor Pro Tem that this is the Arts Commission's money, and I think this is potentially going to be a great event and could bring in a lot of people and could be great for our community and would support this. I don't want to hurt your chances by awarding it now if that were to then hurt your chances of getting additional LTAC funding. And so that's the reason for the ask.
Yeah, no, I understand. We did go back and forth. All right, do we do this ask now? Should we hold off? Do we wait? And I think there was a concern, well, if we don't get the LTAC, then we're right back to where we were now.
Understood.
Right?
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Councilmember Stuckey.
So many thoughts. On the one hand, my tourism hat absolutely loves this. I mean, this is something we could promote the heck out of in the Embrace Whidbey Tourism Committee. I think it's great for economic development. I think it's wonderful, the tourism hat. I do get nervous because of a first event and the initial ask of how much. I mean, I get the idea of you don't want to half-heartedly do it, but let's be honest, it is a big ask. To address some of the LTAC questions, and to be clear, I'm just speaking as one member of the LTAC, not for the LTAC as a whole. So I rated it a 65 out of 100. But to be clear, my average rating was 72, so it's not like there was a lot of 90s there. My note said, this appears to be a great event that suffers from the scoring metrics of this process. It's not in the shoulder system. It may be difficult to track attendance. Also, due to the lack of attachments, I'm a little fuzzy on how the dollar amount was decided, were my notes at the time. part of that is we're redoing the application. I mean, for example, the application on the LTAC, 15% is in the shoulder season or not. Well, instantly, if you're the music festival, you're not in the shoulder system, bam, there's 15% right off the chart. So this was something that kind of struggled with the metrics. Some of the difficulty for us was the fact that there were 5 asks from the city of Oak Harbor. I mean, there were 5 asks. 2 of them were Parks and Rec. One of them was the Score and Explore. One was the marathon. And I believe there was one other one. So in our conversation, I mean, there were so many asks from the city of Oak Harbor, it was a little difficult to justify that while not give it to some of the others. Will it hurt your chances? I mean, one thing we are looking into is, will an event still happen without this funds? Or what will this funds add to it? Just speaking for myself, if I know that the Arts Commission has already covered it and you're good, yeah, I'd probably have a little bit of trouble scoring it higher based on that one category. I take each category on its own. I wouldn't score it very high in that category. I don't know how many points are going to be assigned to that because we haven't finished up that portion of it. So, again, like the event, I'm just a little nervous. My only ask would be, if we do this, we need to be really clear on what we consider as a success or not. 1,000 people show up, we spent $75 per each attendee. And to say, let's do it again next year, but let's try this, this, and this. I'm sorry, that's too big of a risk. So I'm for it with a big hesitation and just saying, hey, let's really make sure what we define as a success or not. And if it is not successful, I can't put $75,000 towards this again. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Anybody else for the good of the order? Yes, Councilmember Romero.
Director Smith, thank you for this excellent idea, and I'm very supportive of it. And I encourage you because you're taking the first step. So I have every reason to think this event will be outstanding going forward, and it especially has my personal commitment because it's across the board, family, kids, all kinds of interactive stuff that can be a big crowd draw. I did want to ask, with regard to the artists, how were they selected? And then also, to what degree are the people of Oak Harbor able to be participants in the activities? I know that there's some involvement allowed, but I just didn't know to what scale, because I guarantee you there's going to be kids that want to imitate the artists and all the rest of it, and maybe some adults too, who knows?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll just clarify, not my idea. This is the Art Commission that proposed this event and worked with the event management firm on it. They are the ones that select and negotiate with the artists and have those contacts. They run various different events all over the country and have done events like this and are familiar with a lot of the artists that participate in these kind of events. And the event is designed to have direct interaction with the artists. There's the community can come up and talk with artists while they're doing the drawings, ask them questions. They'll showcase some of their techniques, and we'll have an area with the materials for community members to do their own artwork. So yeah, that's definitely the intent of it, is to inspire and bring out the artists and community members that attend the event.
So I'm confident that with enough proper marketing, that it could be quite a draw. And I'm adamant about bringing discretionary income from the mainland to Island County and to Oak Harbor. So I strongly favor it. And with regard to the lead time, it's completely common. I mean, I won't go into it, but I have a history of trying to do things. And I know that it takes time to get it to roll. So I have no hesitation about you rolling with, or you and all the Art Commission and everybody else moving forward with it. Let's see. I need to make a motion. Okay. Is that all right? Yeah, sure. Okay. I move to approve authorized use of the Creative Arts Fund balance for an additional $23,000 to supplement the Chalk Fest 2026 event.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion as presented by Councilmember Romero, seconded by Councilmember Arms. Before I call for a vote, is there any further discussion on this issue? All right, hearing none. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously. All right.
you.
Thank you very much, Brian. All right, there being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second, we have a motion by Councilmember Wigstein, seconded by Councilmember Wiesner. All